All right, all right. Welcome to episode 53 of the Grandos podcast. I'm your host, Edwin Cabrera, aka Steady Eddie. Across the screen from me is my homie, my day one, Chris Martin, aka Critta. What's up, bro?
What's going on, guys? Real quick before we get in today's episode, as always, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us out a lot. Also, pick up some merch. We have a bunch of stuff in there. The colder weather is here. You might need a hoodie, so go to grindhouse.store and buy something. So let's get into it.
One other special announcement: we are taking the next couple weeks off. So
Oh yeah, forgot to mention
a
that.
pod next week. It's Christmas. We are celebrating, and the week after because it's New Year's, and we'll be
Taking a little break. We'll be back with some new stuff.
Yep, we'll be back for 2021, better than ever with some fresh ideas that we've been working on that we will be sprinkling into our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So stay posted and definitely subscribe if you haven't yet, because more content is definitely on the way.
For sure.
We are working on more content aside from the podcast. So keep checking us out.
Lots of cool stuff in the pipeline. So
all right, so what do we got today, Critta?
All right, where do we want to start here? Do we want to start? So
it's the end of 2021. Yes. I mean, sorry, it's the end of 2020.
It's been a dumpster fire.
Thank fucking God. Yeah. Everybody, I think, has been looking forward to this moment a long time. Happiest moment so far of 2020 has been Trump losing the election, becoming a sore loser, and and Biden winning. So that is my favorite moment of 2020, and hopefully it's a better 2021. I don't know if you have a favorite moment that you have for 2020.
I'm with you on that. I think that was my favorite moment. So seeing him lose was great. So
watching him continue being a sore loser is like music to my ears. Like I love it. I hope that he gets hauled off by like security, like his last day in the White House. He's like,
kicking and
four
screaming.
Security guards like carrying him by the legs and arms and tossing him out of the White House like fucking Jazz and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, like a sports game and you're getting thrown out, like that level of craziness. But yeah. So where do you want to sort of start here? Do we want to talk about so we're gonna do our year-end lists for albums.
So this is the last podcast of the year. We got a couple year-end segments. And
let's save that towards the end. I think
you want to say that towards the end.
Yeah, let's go through like some news sort of stuff, and then we can kind of segue into moments, and then we can go into the albums and stuff.
All right, so I think that we should start then, if that's what we're gonna do, with the Chance the Rapper news that we have.
Sure. So Chance the Rapper is getting sued by his former manager, Pat Corcoran. Hopefully I'm saying his name correct. But he's getting sued by his former manager. Apparently he was fired.
AKA Pat the Manager. That's what people.
Pat the Manager, yeah. Super famous manager. Literally was by Chance through his whole career. Helped him, like propped him up. They worked together. Super DIY sort of manager artist combo. So it's kind of weird to see that happen. I think it's weird because it's the last people that I thought would have a problem, because you see their like chemistry too, like even when he won the Grammys, like anything really, like even Pat, he was interviewed on Blueprint by Complex, and just the way he spoke about Chance was really interesting because they seem super close.
Yeah, and Pat is what kind of I don't know like their whole story like closely, but I only know of a handful of like managers that I like follow and like I'm actively
he's one of them
rooting for. And Pat the Manager is definitely that man. He's a manager's manager, right? Because as a manager, you dream of one day developing this relationship, this relationship with a client that is friend and a business client at the same time, kind of like doing the best of both worlds. So I feel like a manager, you kind of like, especially when you're working like closely with an artist, like it kind of takes on that kind of relationship, especially when there's a trust level there, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what their relationship was. It went beyond just business. It went beyond just friendship or hooking up with your friend. It seemed like Chance gave this nobody from Chicago an opportunity to like do something with his career. And what
Yeah.
Pat, the manager, was able to turn that into became, you know, what Chance the Rapper is today. And I remember reading something about like one of the, I think it may have been like the second show or something that Chance the Rapper threw that the Pat the Manager put on. I think if I remember correctly, the first show was like not successful or something like that, and then the second show like it was bananas. It went crazy, and it like kind of helped put Chance like on the mark in Chicago and kind of like jump started like they're just like, you know, jumping from one level success to like another like very high level of success.
Yeah.
And you know, that's really cool to do as a manager, like just imagining like working, breaking an artist who nobody knows of, breaking that artist, reaching a level of success, and having, you know, seemingly a great business relationship for a number of years. You know, you definitely don't
Yeah.
expect
I
something
mean,
like this to happen, but
yeah, and then obviously, like, you know, to get to, you know, Chance's level, I mean, and to be independent, you know, he was one of the first people to do it. So, um, yeah, I also find it just odd that, you know, he's getting sued by his manager for money. Um, I feel like typically it's the other way around, because usually the manager is the one handling the money. So I don't know if like Chance was doing some side business shit or
yeah, what do you
that
think?
didn't involve Pat. I don't quite understand.
Yeah,
Like,
if that's the case, and Pat is suing because he hasn't been cut some sort of a deal, where do you think that could be? Do you think he's just trying to ruffle some feathers and like this is kind of like a scored and lover situation, or do you think there's a like in what situation would a manager still be owed money if the manager is usually the one that's kind of like, you know, working that aspect financially, like what's being distributed, like where could that hang
um,
up be if anywhere?
I mean, my only sort of thought on that would make again maybe Chance is just doing something that had nothing to do with his music career, and it was a side business thing that maybe Pat felt that he was owed money from that. Um, but you know, structurally, I mean, your manager is the one handling the accounting. So you know, he's usually doing the accounting and then paying the artist. So, um, yeah, it's kind of weird, but definitely curious to see how it all sort of pans out.
Do you think there's a possibility that they're, I highly doubt this by the way, but do you think there's a possibility that their business relationship as a manager talent like just was like so, I guess, different, and maybe that's why they work, because maybe like it was a reverse, like maybe
Like structurally,
maybe yeah, structurally their contract was different
yeah.
where Pat was getting paid out by Chance's, maybe, I don't know, account.
You know, maybe maybe they sort of. I don't really know. I'm very curious on that because I know they had like the merch company and um yeah,
Yeah, I would
it's
think
weird.
I would think I'm with you. I think that it's probably to do with some sort of company that Pat maybe at some point got involved in,
Mm,
but not to the point where like maybe he would receive or have or expect to receive some sort of a cut.
yeah.
I don't know, like especially when you're out like the last few like months of working with each other, if you started at doing something but you were fired before it actually kind of became a thing, but maybe you kind of threw in a couple ideas and you're kind of just like still expecting, I don't know, I feel like it could be a situation like that where it's just like, you know, you got the axe at some point during the process of one of these things that Chance is currently either benefiting from or looking to benefit from, that Pat feels like at least cut me in at some sort of way. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, do you think there's a possibility of them like kind of reconnecting, or do you think it's just
No,
it's scorched? It's not
no, no,
like
no. I absolutely believe. I think here's why I think, and this is a good. I'm glad that you asked it because we haven't even talked about why we even think Pat, the manager, got his ass booted after being, you know, in this like honeymoon relationship with an artist. Essentially, if you look at Chance the Rapper's career now, he has not only just has he plateaued, he's on the downhill now as as an act. Like he's not as hot as he once was a few years ago.
Yeah. Do you think he hit the ceiling?
I don't think so. I think that his last album was mediocre,
Yeah.
and that definitely didn't help. I don't know, like hit the wave. He also kind of took a lot of time off, I believe, because he got married. You know, he had a family thing, like where he took some time, which every artist does here and there. But like, I don't think, as far as I remember, around his album release, I wasn't really seeing any serious besides like
See, I think
that he was a part of. I
yeah.
didn't really see any serious promotion for it, and he released it, and it's like I said,
Well,
the
he
album,
wasn't that active beforehand, so it was
yeah.
like
So
he kind of came
I
out
just
the
feel like he
blue with
didn't
it.
do enough to garner any sort of, and maybe that's why he got his manager canned. Maybe his manager should have been more in control of the situation. And I'm sure Pat probably feels a certain way because I'm sure in that situation, you know, Chance is telling him, "Hey, I'm trying to live my life. I got a family. I'm trying to focus on
When
that." That's like cool.
the
Okay. And then like when it turns around and it's time to release something, and because you took all this time to enjoy your family, now like sales are flopping. You again turn and look at your manager like, well, dude, what happened? Oh, well, you want to take time with your family. Yeah, but like you didn't, you know, you should have foresaw this. You know, so it's like it is what it is. I essentially, just to cap it off before I let you talk, I do think that it for sure it could be reconciled, and I think Pat, if Pat's a smart man, I feel like this wouldn't be a bridge that he should burn just for a couple $1 million. I don't know how much he's. I mean, depending on how much he's on,
I'm not
how much
quite sure.
he's being screwed. If he's actually being screwed, then for sure. But like I would say whatever. I hope that whatever he's suing him for is legitimate, and whatever happens from it, I do think that you can get past this, of course, you know, and continue to be friends and business partners because business happens. This might be business. This might be a part of the business process. You see Jay-Z and Kanye, for example, like they've gone through some things in court and they're still, I mean, obviously their relationship isn't perfect anymore, but they're still, you know,
It's
there
still like
when it
think
counts.
each other as family, you know. It's like, you know, well, I know that, you know, in the court documents, it basically states that Pat thought that the album was being rushed and not enough work was getting put into it and thought that it should be pushed back. So yeah, it's definitely I don't know. And also it's like it's sort of I think that like the hip hop shit, it's like it's almost like being an athlete. You take too much time off, you get rusty. You know, and he probably wasn't spending that much time in the studio and all that stuff. I
Unless you
mean,
were taking
life gets in the way, you know,
unless
and
you
I understand
were
that.
time, like there's artists like Kendrick who I believe when they go away, it's not like they stop. I
They're
mean,
working. That's what
obviously they stop working
yeah.
at some point, but I don't think that in the entirety of time that they're away that they're not working on music. Like I believe that Kendrick is actively working on music whenever he's not making, whenever we don't hear music, he's actively working on music, and he takes the best of what he's collected over the years, and that's what he releases. You know, so it takes some time, and I love artists who do that. I don't think that that's what Chance did with this album. It didn't feel like that was that kind of because it just didn't feel the album was super passable to me. Like it felt like a Disney light, positive. Like I know he's really.
There's nothing that really stood out to me.
It wasn't doing it for me overall.
You know, it didn't have that re-listen value to it. I don't even remember most of it. You know, like that, and to me, that's a telling sign that like,
and I
the
think
album's not for me.
Chance is also involved in so many other things aside from music that I'm positive that that's what took away from this album. He wasn't working on it throughout. He was working on that Netflix series. He was working on his political stuff, the Chicago stuff that he
his
does,
family
all
stuff,
great things, and all things that you had in different phases of your career. But when it comes to the music, it doesn't exactly equal good music.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, I hope they can sort of figure things out, and they seem like a good duo. Well, like they made a lot of things happen for each other, really. So I think it just benefits them working together. But yeah, hopefully it all gets figured out.
Do you think the next Chance the Rapper manager is gonna be as well known as Pat the Manager? Because that was almost like a Diddy situation where like
I mean,
like who knows which artists do you know managers of? Like, there's not
All
many
right.
artists where you're like, oh, that's so and so is the manager of this.
I have a thing with this, and I think it's gonna be Scooter Braun because obviously Chance the Rapper, he's friends with Justin Bieber. Yeah, it's gonna be Scooter Braun, his next
Scooter Braun for
manager.
what? Oh, he's gonna be Scooter Braun managing fucking Chance.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I like that. I like that. Getting the hot takes in.
Yeah. So I'm saying it now. So if it happens, you owe me $100.
I never agreed to that.
Doesn't matter.
I actually think that's a pretty smart, industry fucking know-how goddamn take. I don't even have a manager I can give you that I think would be a good Chance the Rapper manager. I only know of so many, and none of them I would think would be Chance the Rapper.
Well, I think as like an artist, that's a good maneuver for him.
Yeah, Scooter Braun is a solid choice.
So, yeah. He's like an industry vet, obviously manages some of the biggest artists. So we'll see what happens.
Fucking over Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Selling them masters.
I've never seen somebody fuck over one artist 14 different ways, like Scooter Braun.
Oh yeah, and he like continuously does it. It's pretty wild.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next topic?
Cool. Let's talk about FK Twigs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah. So this sucks to hear, honestly, because I am a super huge fan of Shia LaBeouf. I think he's an amazing actor. I think he's a great comedic actor. Also a great serious actor. I think he has a lot of range. I've been a big fan of his since I was like 12. I used to watch him like on Disney Channel and shit. Like I have been following him for a long time, and I've always respected his work just because he reminds me, honestly, he has such a, especially in his younger days, he has such a Jim Carrey kind of like energy to him. Like he just carries himself in like such a comedic presence, and any scene that he's in, like he always like takes it over. And then to see him transform into after he was making all those Transformer movies, transform into a real actor. It was great to see him kind of make that transition. And like, a lot of child actors, they struggle with that. And I think he kind of hit his stride. Even now, I don't even think he's hit his peak. So I say that to say that I respect Shia LaBeouf a lot. And it really, really sucks to hear that he may be still just as much of a piece of shit now than he was a few years ago when he was going through a lot of like internal demon. Just he has a history of alcoholism. If you've seen the movie Honey Boy, like it kind of gives you a pretty good picture. It's a movie about his life and sort of like his upbringing. He plays his dad in the movie. He's a super abusive father. Obviously just a very traumatic childhood, and like I feel for him because I know that those things like still, even if when you go into adulthood, is not like those traumas like go away. Those things still linger. Like those pains still kind of affect you in some sort of way. They don't just disappear just because you get older. It pains me to hear that he's still, I guess, a piece of shit. As somebody who respects him now, I have to question whether or not I can support somebody like that. And I hate to do. I feel like I just did that thing, and that women hate, where like somebody's accused of something terrible, and you're like, well, he's a good person. I feel like I just did that, so I apologize. I'm just trying to like paint the picture that I'm a huge fan of this person, and right now I'm just going through that phase of like deciding whether or not even I've decided not to support him, but it hurts that I have to make that decision. I don't know. I hate to hear news like this. This is why, like, I don't know, like in many ways the internet is great, and then in many ways it sucks because you get to really know people who you would rather. I feel like I would rather have the old school before the internet image of these celebrities. Like when you thought celebrities were like these, like
you weren't constantly being
superhuman, godlike people. Now, like you see them and they're just like everyone else, and they're very imperfect people, and you're at conflict about loving them and hating them just like you do like your brother or your uncle or whoever. And in this situation, it's like, dude, I respect you and I've respected you for so long, and now I gotta think about like I don't know, not supporting you in whatever way that is. Like I don't know, it's just not the same. I feel like I just rambled. You want to talk about a little bit what that article stated that he did?
He did like a lot of fucked up shit. Like he was like basically speeding with FK Twigs like in a car and say like basically forcing her to tell him that she loved him and like just like really fucked up abusive shit.
Putting her in life-threatening situations.
Yeah, and it's
tortured soul.
and other people in obviously like out in public too. Yeah, and it's just super shitty and like I feel like I'm not surprised only because of like all the shit that he was doing beforehand.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing about it is we've seen him do so ridiculous shit before, and because nobody really gets hurt aside from like him, the only time we know that somebody got hurt is through other reports that he's been an abusive partner.
yeah,
So it's like this is something that apparently that still is going on to this day. And he in the when they reached out the New York Times or whoever, I think the New
I
York
think
Times,
it's the Times. Yeah,
for comment, he said he's a piece of shit. So he's admitting
yeah.
guilt.
He said he admitted that he's hurt a lot of people.
Yeah, I think there's a one sentence where he kind of says like he didn't do exactly whatever that he's being accused of, but essentially he said that yes, I am a piece of shit and I've done these things and I'm like pretty much I'm beyond help. So it's like good on you for admitting guilt and not like whatever, but like you need at this point to get past the part of like, oh yes, I'm a piece of shit, I'm a tortured soul, I have depression, and actually like do something about it. Stop affecting people.
Like you've owned up to it. Now it's like, all right,
But
like
you've
show that you're
owned up to it before, and he's gotten help from it before. If that's the case, I get it. If that's the case, and you're still battling through it, maybe you shouldn't date people, you know. But especially if you're dating somebody who like is as beloved as somebody like FK Twigs, like now you have a whole fan base of people like not just like you just have like just people who might I don't know, like really take this shit seriously. Like some of these fans, you know, we've seen crazy shit happen before. Like one of these fans might catch serious feelings, like crazy feelings, and attempt something again. You know, um. So I don't know. Anyway, like
no, it's
very shitty news.
it's awful, and but yeah, let's move on to other things. But I think we covered that pretty well. Do you want to talk about the Kid Cudi album? I know I've only listened to it a little bit, and you've listened to a few songs as well. Do you want to talk about that?
I haven't gone through the whole thing. Fair warning. I will say though that I've listened to the first 5 songs, including the songs that people say are the best songs on the album. I'm not the biggest Kid Cudi fan, although I love there's certain Kid Cudi songs that I think are phenomenal.
Yeah,
I just
classics.
I am just definitely not a Kid Cudi stan. I think I listen to his music more objectively, where it's like, okay, this is a good song. This song is kind of skippable. With this album, Man on the Moon 3, it sold I think 175 this week, which is amazing numbers for Kid Cudi, especially because we talked about how being out of the game for a while can like kind of like see your sales or whatever decrease, like in the case of Chance. But in the case of Cudi, who's been away 3-4 years now, he did 175 this week. So I don't know. It works for him. I think his co-followers are just much more of there's a stronger allegiance there because I mean Kid Cudi, I mean he talks like his artistry is talking about depression. And so you gotta I think you gotta like I think when you hit on certain subjects that people can relate to as heavy as depression, like that hive, that fandom is I think a little bit of a deeper bond than just like, a hive that cares about money, cars, and hoes. So like good on Kid Cudi. I feel like this is his fan base really coming out and supporting him. I will say I don't think that the album was that great. I heavily judge an album by like the first 5 songs. It's almost like the same way a movie you judge by the inciting incident.
The first 20 minutes or whatever.
The first 15 minutes of the movie is setting up the movie, And usually in that time, you should know by the 15 minutes into the movie whether or not you feel like you're connected with this story. You typically, like in the Hollywood format, you want to create some sort of story and hit the
Attention
inciting
grabbing
incident, which is really like the
moment.
point of
Yeah.
the story gets going by the 15-minute mark. That way, people either are engaged or not engaged, but like it allows people to commit to it or to, be like, maybe this sucks. I think the same way about an album. When you're putting out an album, especially when you're serious about like this album being good, uh, I think the first 5 songs are heavily. I'm judging the rest of the album by the first 5 songs, essentially. And with this, I think I only out of the 5, I think I only like one, and that song was the what was it called? She know this or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's actually the 5th song. Let me see if I have it up there. So she know this. She knows this. It's the 4th song on the album. That song was pretty good. I didn't love the first 5 songs. I just stopped. I got out of it. I stopped listening to it.
I sort of skipped around based on who was like featured on the songs. One notable one was Phoebe Bridgers. I kind of like when
you have a crush on her.
Well, when I have like artists that I really like, kind of work with each other. I think that's cool. So, and it, I feel like Phoebe Bridgers, she's not known in hip hop, so like, I think that's just cool.
Yeah, but Cudi crosses over. Cudi's like that, like.
Oh yeah, I mean, if there's an artist to do it, it's definitely going to be Kid Cudi. But
For sure, the whites fuck with Cudi.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I can't give you a definite like this album was great, this album was not great. I will.
Yeah, I can't go in depth.
5 songs in for me,
I
it's
haven't
like
listened to it enough
so far. And maybe I'll if it really changes my mind next time around, I'll tell you if I feel
it's also like it's
mind on this album. But
it's a big album too. Like there's a lot, a long album rather. Yeah, it's like a lot of songs on here, so it's like it's a lot to get through. Yeah, I just don't have the attention span apparently to get through it. But
I've been in a real crappy mood though. I'll be honest with you. It might not be Kid Cudi. It might be me. I've been in a real mood lately.
It might be me. So I can't blame Kid Cudi on this. It could be a personal.
But you would think that when you're in a real blab mood, that Kid Cudi is the perfect fucking soundtrack.
I guess, yeah, I guess so. I mean, you might be right. So who knows? All right, so let's move on to let's talk about the top 5 moments of, and we'll start kind of getting into the end of the year list.
All right. Okay, so we start with 5. Or do you want to start with 1?
Well, top 5 moments we're gonna talk about.
So you want to start
that happened in hip hop.
The top or the bottom? Which way you want to start?
Let's go like serious, and then let's go to like kind of the funnier.
So you want to start with number 1?
I think we could just go down that list that we have. Yeah.
You're saying that because it's he's saying that because our top 5 moments, the first 4 are fucking depressing as hell.
And it's been a hard year all around, I think.
It definitely has. Like it's been a deathly year this year. So our top 5 moments, fair warning, is super depressing. I guess we'll start with number 1, which is depressing actually. It's kind of like just comical in many ways. So number 1 is Tekashi's first of all release.
The whole situation, I guess. Like
Tekashi being released from prison, Tekashi trolling for weeks or months, Tekashi releasing an album, Tekashi's
flopping,
and then Tekashi disappearing from the face of the earth.
Yeah.
That whole Tekashi saga starting with him being released from prison I think is still the top. I hate to say it, top.
Well, it got so much attention by like not just hip hop, like everywhere, like talked about it. So, it was a massive moment in hip hop. Nothing like that has ever happened. So,
and this could be, I would consider number 2 either 1A because the hip hop cycle has largely cycled around these two stories. So this could you either consider two or consider one A, I mean one B, because I feel like this has been in the news just as much as Takashi has been in
Yeah,
the news,
for sure.
which is Megan Thee Stallion getting shot by Tory Lanez.
Yeah.
I think many of you would probably say that this is number one. I think I would agree with you. And looking back, I'm like, why did we put that as number two? Um, but I would say that's probably just as in the news, if not more. So maybe I'll reverse that and be like, yeah, Megan was number one and Takashi was number two. But I think that story, it got weird because I think that story really divides people because there's actually a surprising amount of people that believe that Megan Thee Stallion is just lying about the whole situation. And we still don't know enough to really find out more. So it's kind of been like one of these cliffhangers that's been lasting for way too long, you know,
Yeah.
like when a show like goes away for too long and kind of like you were so like there was a season ending cliffhanger and you're super excited about it, but then it like the show like comes back 9 months later and you completely forgot about it. That's what this situation feels like. It was like who
Oh, for
shot
sure.
who? It's like who shot the fucking sheriff?
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? And so yeah, so maybe that's why this story is number two. Is it's not it hasn't there's no closing yet.
Hasn't fully unfolded yet, so we
It
don't
hasn't
really
fully
know.
unfolded yet. There's still a
Um,
huge hive of people who support Tory. So there's
Yeah.
just this story I guess feels incomplete. And that's what probably what we have it at number two. It just feels like it's not finished yet. Meg has stopped talking about it. She's moved on from it. Tory is still hitting up Meg and like just being a fucking weirdo, pretty much.
That's rough.
So yeah, that's number two. We got for number three. Say the more depressing ones.
So Pop Smoke passing away. Well, being murdered. Awful. Height of his career. Like was just about to like really pop off. Yeah, super awful. And he was young too, man. He was like, I think it was like maybe 20,
21, probably.
21, somewhere around there. So
Super young, had his whole career ahead of him.
Yeah.
That song "Mood Swings" is a fucking banger. That would have,
Yeah.
if he was still alive, I think that song would have taken off even more than it did. I that was definitely surprising because you right. He's one of these artists that like his name was really bubbling to the top of everybody's like.
Yeah, you were starting to see him on tracks with people like Travis Scott.
Yeah. It kind of reminded
me, it's just
kind of reminded me of like when Cardi started going like Bodak Yellow came out and like slowly but surely people started like it was like a virus. You heard her name here, you heard her name there. It's just kind of everywhere. Like the song is playing, people driving by, you're hearing the same fucking song and shit like that.
Yep.
That same vibe was happening with Pop Smoke and like literally like it almost like just like sliced right down the middle with like just like he was taken away from us way too quickly and it just felt like 1 second he's not here, the second he's here, and now he's not here again. It's just, I think people are still kind of coping with that. So yeah, that I would say that took a lot of people's people that gave a lot of pause to people when that happened, that news came out.
Definitely. Yeah, awful stuff. And I feel like, obviously, like, I feel like this year there's been a lot of hip hop deaths, a lot of attempted stuff. Yeah, super fucked. But 2020, that's the year we've had. So,
one thing I'm grateful for is the fact that in 2020, I know we're not fully out of the year yet, but I'm grateful that I made it this far. Like this has been a very morbid year.
Yeah.
And I obviously as somebody who like health wise, I could definitely be in a better place. I was definitely worried about catching COVID and whatever happens. And I think because my brother got COVID and that was a very serious situation and I saw like the kind of toll it takes. I was just super afraid of that happening to me. And I'm glad that I'm at this point of 2020 where we're closing out of the year. There's apparently a vaccine that might be available that I'm not going to be the first one to take, by the way. I will not be the first one to take.
You heard it here first, guys. Edwin's not taking it right away.
I'm going to wait. I'm going to see if people start growing 4 legs and 3 arms. If people end up looking like fucking the super mutants from Fallout, like I'm going to just wait. And then like once the coast is clear.
Put the feelers out, you
like
gotta.
3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say about like 2-3 months. I'll give it, and then make my decision from there.
Because
But
we don't know about the long-term effects as well. There's always the long-term shit. And when you're rushing out a drug, there's a lot of to consider. But anyway, like I said, I definitely am looking to take the vaccine. I just need to trust it first, and that's a big if.
yeah, for sure. So next on our list is another very depressing moment in 2020 was King Von's death. Um, Another person gone way too soon. Like,
You know what this
was
feels?
about to pop. Like,
You know what this feels like? I hate to draw a comparison, but it feels like it. Tupac and Biggie. I know, obviously, Pop Smoke and King Von are nowhere near as highly regarded before and after the death as Tupac and Biggie. But it feels like a similar situation because Tupac and Biggie, in the grand scheme of things, died really, really closely to each other, within a year of each other. And this situation is exactly like that. Only the timeline is a lot closer, even more so.
yeah,
In this situation, where you get two people who have built a serious buzz, and at the height, well, not their height, but at a very high point of their buzz and still going more up, that's when they've been taken away.
yeah,
And we got two in less than a year, and it just feels like that type of situation. Because
that's
like,
awful.
how often, especially the past few years, have you like heard about these many deaths in hip hop? It's been a while
It's
since
crazy.
people
It's
have been
crazy.
dying left and right like this in hip hop, but it's been that kind of like past 3 years, I would say, for
Yeah,
multiple reasons. We had obviously the codeine stuff, the scissor.
yeah.
We got other drug overdoses like the Xannies. Then we got the shootings. We got like there's been a lot of deaths on multiple different fronts of problems within hip hop, and this year has been a no different.
Yeah. That's yeah. I mean, 2020. It's how things have been. Um, all right. Do we want to talk about the last thing here on the list? You want to take it away?
What's the last thing?
Freddie Gibbs versus DJ Academics.
We got no,
So
we got more than. What are you talking about? We got plenty of things left on the list. Oh, you're talking about
so
news wise.
I'm talking about moments in hip hop.
Oh, moments in hip hop. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, I've been enjoying some wine, so I'm getting a little loose.
I see that you're getting a little.
So Freddie Gibbs versus DJ Academics. That's gotta be in that top five moment in hip hop because that was a fun time. That was
That
one of
was
my funner like giddy.
very entertaining.
I'm on like Instagram listening to like seeing clips of the fucking back and forth between DJ Academics and Freddie Gibbs.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely like my and okay, so I would say that one thing we missed in the top moments, and I would agree with people. Uh let's put positive spins on things and maybe round out maybe the top five if we could. So Freddie Gibbs versus DJ Academics, I would say is five. I would say the Versus series, I think is six. The overall Versus series, and that I would think is probably number. Ah, could redo this list again, I would change some things around because that
Yeah.
Versus series has to be in the top five.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it,
We're just talking about like moments that really stuck out this year.
yeah, single moment.
Whether they're positive or negative.
The Versus series, I definitely think is in the top five. Now that I think about it, the Quarantine Radio is definitely in the top 10. If I would think,
Yeah.
I think it would be
It's definitely up there.
six or seven.
Yeah.
So I would say the Takashi moment.
Short-lived, but you know,
Meg
it was up there.
Takashi makes sense. The hip hop deaths makes sense. Freddie Gibbs versus DJ Academics makes sense. But now that I think about it, I would think I would go now with the five being versus.
Okay.
Six being Freddie Gibbs versus DJ Academics. Seven being Quarantine Radio. Eight, I would say. See, I already put verses down, but I would say eight deserves its own revisiting of verses, and I would say that Young Jeezy versus Gucci Mane versus should have his own moment, and I'll put that at 8 because we had a whole moment with, first of all, just that history of Young Jeezy sending his goons out to rob Gucci killing, one of Jeezy's closest associates, and then him rapping the song during the verses to Jeezy. Like that, I feel like deserves a moment in itself. I don't know if you have a couple moments you want to add to that list, but I feel like that top 8 is pretty solid.
No, I think you hit it on the money there. We had a bunch of moments that happened recently, and you touched on all of them. So, yeah. Want to get into the next portion of?
So we're hitting the stride on conversations here. I think what we should do is start with let's start with the Griselda talk, and then we'll make our way to the fun top 2020 releases.
Okay, if you noticed, I poured myself a wine for these moments. I feel like I should have a fire.
How did Drake say it? How did Drake say it?
Oh, was it like "fix me a wine" or something like that?
Fix me a wine.
Yeah, I had my personal chef make this.
So let's talk about Griselda real quick because we wanted to talk about who. So we wanted to discuss. I think the original idea was like who had the best year of 2020.
Yes.
So that's the first conversation. Who had the best overall year of 2020? And that for us was very easy because it wasn't just one person, it was a group. It was Griselda. Griselda easily had the best 2020 by far. It doesn't even it's not even worth discussing. Like it's just obvious at this point.
Yeah.
And so the conversation actually steered a little bit more towards, okay, well, yes, Griselda had the best 2020, but all 3 members of Griselda released projects in 2020. And had their own little buzz happening in 2020, each doing their own thing. Who in Griselda had the best 2020?
All right, I'm gonna say Conway the Machine. He
Why?
put out why? He put out Lulu. He put out From King to a God. Both albums are just absolutely incredible. Also, he did that Tiny Desk, which was dope. Yeah, he but I mean I feel like the whole camp is like had their year. Like they've all put out dope shit. So yeah.
That's all you got?
What you think?
That's all you got? I guess my vote. No, I'm just kidding. I think Conway is obviously like that's a very. Oh man, Benny and Conway, they're like that 1-2 punch. Like seriously. So
sure.
I shout out to West Side Gun, and actually I shout out to Wes Taylor. I was actually hanging out with Wes yesterday, and I asked him this question. I wanted to get his take on it. He says West Side Gun had the best year 2020 because West Side Gun was heavily associated with both these projects, and as just not just as a musician, but as an A&R who like has gotten Griselda to where they are. He's had the best 2020.
That's true. That's true. All right.
I appreciate that. In many instances, I agree, but I will still say that I think Benny had the best 2020. I think here's where I land with that. I think Conway, first of all, I'm one of these people. I think you're a little bit more clear cut in terms of you. Conway is your favorite Griselda rapper. I think I have a problem with always going between Benny and Conway. It literally, for me, it flip flops depending on how I'm feeling. But I would say, considering Lulu, considering From King to a God, and considering Burden of Proof, and also considering West Side Gun's project, who made the Sunshine.
He also did Pray for Paris before.
He also did Pray for Paris this year. I will still say that considering all that, Burden of Proof is still the strongest project out of all those projects. And I think I had more conversations this year. I'm simply basing this off of my own lived experience. I've had more conversations with people about Burden of Proof being album of the year than any other album that Griselda has released this year. And I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely comes in a strong second for me,
Yeah. So. Well, I think Burden of Proof, in my opinion, is the best out of all the Griselda releases, despite Conway and Benny being neck and neck, pretty much right there. And I would say Conway is still like edges out Benny, but I do think Benny had the better project overall when looking at all those projects. And for that alone, I gotta tip my cat to Benny because I do think he has a serious shot of I don't know, this album being like the one that people remember the most this year. So I'm gonna go with Benny.
Cool. I support the whole Griselda movement. So, um, I feel like there's no wrong answer.
They had an amazing 2020. They had an amazing 2019. They're now, um, free agents. They're not on Shady anymore.
Yeah,
So, like, let's see what happens in 2021, man. These could this. I'm excited for Griselda because they're bringing that like old New York vibe back, like that
it's
really
a,
like
a
that type of vibe.
DIY sort of
Like Wu
vibe. I love
Tang
it.
was the last, like for me, like that grittiness, that like hardcore New York grittiness. Wu Tang was like what you think about when you think about that tough, gritty New York.
Raw
And
sounding
that's
hip
where a
hop.
lot of this music all kind of derives from, is like that. In some aspect, you always hear some sort of Wu Tang raw, gritty influence in a lot of these type of like groups or records. But I feel like Griselda is bringing that back to in its fullest form, like really appreciating that sound to its fullest form. So I mean, shout out to them for just having a great run in hip hop.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, they've been my favorite group. Uh, Definitely this last year. So, um, cool.
And
So
before that,
let's
Post
go.
Malone was your favorite rapper, so that's a huge jump.
That's that's not true. Don't be spreading lies about me. Fake news. All right, let's go. Let's talk about best music video of 2020.
Oh, this one's easy for me.
I
Easy.
I have two because I feel like we might have the same.
We're not gonna have the same, but we better not because I told you not to.
And for the audience, we did not discuss our top anything.
Yeah, I
So
wanted I wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna do this super fucking lame shit and do the exact same artists for like what we think are.
because I feel like we have very similar tastes in
We
music.
do, and I made it explicitly clear that we should not share at all, even
Yeah.
indicate in any way at all what we would vote for our top first of all music video of the year, which is what we're doing now, and also our top albums of the year.
Yep.
And our top song of the year, I think we're doing as well. So we haven't discussed this at all. This is literally, we're finding this out in real time. So if it's the same in any way, that's just because me and Crit have spent entirely too much time together, and we should probably stop.
Exactly. We should definitely stop hanging out.
Yeah.
But anyways, all right. Do you want to go first, or should I?
I want you to go first.
All right. So mine is Saint Leor. This is not an image
For what?
for best music video
Ah,
of the year.
fuck you.
I have a second one just in case.
Okay, well, yes, that's mine as well. That is mine as well.
I knew that was going to happen because it's a really good music video.
I think overall we didn't even talk about it that much with each other. Like we mentioned it on a podcast. That was obviously something we talked about. I said on the podcast that last, like when that I think it's maybe 3 podcasts ago, I said that was my favorite music video of 2020 so far. And obviously like that podcast was recorded not that long ago. It's the end of 2020. So it is my official favorite video of 2020.
Yeah,
Shout out.
that's
I
dope.
think I shouted out the filmmakers who made that video. I want to shout you guys out again. I don't have your info on me right now, but that is in terms of, first of all, just generally in terms of a video, and also in terms of a local video. You guys fucking killed it, man. That video was amazing. I love the concept. I love the Black Panther themed imagery, the Black Power themed imagery. I loved the concept, how you guys lit it, how you guys shot it, how it accompanies the music, how it like just like it goes in sync with Saint Leora. I just loved everything about
Yeah.
that music video. So shout out
Yeah,
to you.
no, it great music video. And then I also put SC Next, We Don't Slip, mainly because it was like kind of a moment of like this is someone from our city, and he's shooting a music video in Miami. It's just dope. It's dope to see. I love seeing artists that we know, on the come up. So
Word. Shout out to SD.
so All right, cool. Let's go favorite song of 2020.
I know you're gonna say the same one as I, so I'm gonna go first on this one.
All right, go first.
Luke Barr's "Die with Pride"
That
favorite song. I have proof. My Spotify says that that's my favorite song of
it
2020.
says it.
I heavily agree with my Spotify because that's my main source of music
Your main
listening.
squeeze.
It had literally said on my Spotify, "Song that got you through it all." That's pretty fucking morbid, but I would say that that's pretty fucking accurate. "Die with
All
Pride"
right.
is my favorite song of 2020. Fuck you, Krita. If you
That
take
was it. That wasn't the song I was gonna go with.
okay, word,
But
perfect. Now we got something going.
yeah. So okay. So mine is Conway the Machine Calvin.
I knew you were gonna go with that. I knew that.
Uh,
It was,
well,
it was
the reason for it is that during that time it was like peak level of
yeah.
like shit was like dark. Things weren't like I didn't even want to listen to new music at the
No.
time. And I remember he dropped the music video for it, and I like the song just
You really
hit.
resonated with the music video, right?
Well, no, it just hit. So I was like, well, finally, I'm
You,
listening to
you
something
imagine
new.
yourself like killing somebody and like digging their body into a grave and shit.
No, piece of shit. Hate you. All right, so let's move on.
No, let's not move on. I'm not done. I didn't. I'm still going here.
You're still going.
Yeah,
Your bit's not over.
the bit's not over. No, I agree with you. I want to just say in terms of Calvin, like I agree that that was probably that honestly that was at one point my favorite song of the year. It kind of slipped away. There's been too many. I just
And
want
he
to
also dropped a whole other album after that. So,
yeah, I just want to say that I wanted to add. So "Die with Pride" is my favorite song. Spotify said it was, and I completely agree with you know
do you
the
always listen to like what Spotify says?
overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
pretty in tune with
You
my
can't think for yourself.
corporate entities.
Yeah.
They know it all, bro. Like they know
They
our
get the data. They
and
get the
out. They have
data.
all the
So
data. So I'm not even fighting it anymore. It is what it is. But I just want to say that my second favorite song of 2020. Actually, never mind. I'm not gonna say what my second favorite song is. Let's move on.
I mean, you can say it if you want.
Nah, because I want to keep. I want to save the good stuff for the albums because I don't want to say because my second favorite song also goes hand in hand with my favorite album. So I'll just reveal that information in my favorite albums category. So let's move.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's go to the top 5 albums of 2020. And all I'm gonna say is nothing's really. I would say for me, I'm not gonna say it in. I don't have an order in
Oh, you
which
fuck you. You think of
I
an
didn't
order.
really think about it in that
Think of
way.
an order.
Um,
Try to make it as
don't tell me what to do.
make it as much of an order as possible. Give me. I want your number one. I want to hear your number one. That's pretty important. I think your top three,
You want
especially.
to hear right now? Or do you want to? Do you want to go least to first kind of thing?
I would say least the first,
Yeah.
but I definitely that top three is pretty important, and that I feel like should be ranked.
Okay. And mind you, they're all good. I mean, it's
Of course,
but
it's top five.
but yeah.
Do you want me to buy you some time and go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
All right.
Well,
So,
I want to go one by one. That's what I want to do.
oh, okay, word.
So you say one, I say one.
Word. I like that. That's much better. So
Okay.
this was tough. First of all, this was tough. I went through my list. I've considered all the music I listened to this past year, and also re-listenability, which was pretty big. Like if I'm going to your album more than once, if I only listened to it once and it was really good, but like I found myself listening to other music, I considered that. I considered a lot of different things. It was tough, and I wish a couple things. First, I wish that there was a couple of albums on my top five that was from local acts that ultimately didn't make it on my top five, and I just want to apologize because like there was some that I literally was gonna crack five, and it was between what I'm gonna reveal now and those local albums. So there's that. So I guess I'll start with my top five with my number five, which is 070 Shake Modus Vivendi.
Okay. That definitely that makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. I felt like you listened to that album a lot. So
You knew how deep
it's a good album though.
you knew
It's a
how
good
deep
album.
I was into the album, especially earlier in the year. You knew how deep
Yeah,
I was into 070
for
Shake.
sure. All right. So mine is the hidden character, question mark. I believe it's question mark. There's 3 question marks. If you haven't listened to it, fucking listen to it. It's so good. It's an artist that's from Lynn, I believe from Lynn. He's
Yep.
part of the whole like mini mansion sort of collective, I guess, which involves like El Divino, Esinac. But the hidden character, for me, he came out of nowhere. And I was sort of like, yo, what is this? This is fucking dope. The production's dope. It's all done by I believe Vinyl Villain. My favorite song on that album is Product Potent. Yeah, man. He came out with like such a dope record. So I've been listening to it nonstop since I got it. So
Okie dokie. All right. Number 4. Number 4. I think this is where I think it's gonna land on both of us. I think that our top 5, if I was to guess right now, not knowing what it is, I think our last 4 are gonna be similar but in different orders.
Okay.
So I'm guessing this next one is gonna be higher on your list than it is mine, but I'm guessing it's gonna be on both our lists. So
Okay.
my number 4 is Conway from A King to a God.
Yeah, it's on my list. And
Yep.
how about let's just discuss it, I guess, in
Yep.
this moment because it's on our list.
So okay, so I think, like I said, Griselda had the best 2020. I think Conway had both Lulu and From a King to a God are really great albums.
Yeah.
I think he is absolutely, in his zone, in his prime. So is Benny. Like they both hit their stride at the same time, which is amazing to see. And this album, I think, is just evidence of that. I really enjoyed it. I think is one of my albums, especially when I'm like I just need something that like really kind of pushes me and
Yeah.
really kind of just gets me going and makes me feel like I don't know. Like obviously I haven't lived the same life Conway has, but like there's something about that type of rap that really like no matter who you are, what your background is, it like pushes you. It gets that hustle mentality.
It's like authentic. It's like
Yeah.
he just
I think my favorite thing in hip hop is the fact that it really like a lot of hip hop music really plays into the hustle mentality. And I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Griselda and that's why From a King to a God is number 4 on my list.
It's number 2 on mine. But
Oh, you shouldn't have revealed that. We should have built up to it, but okay.
I'm gonna reveal it. No, I mean, I'm pretty much just gonna talk about it again. So
Number 2, I
might as
wonder who's
well.
gonna be number 1 on yours. Woo! That should be fun. I had that as number 1 on yours, but I guess I was wrong.
You were wrong, dude.
So what's your number 4?
It would be Wes Taylor, Gifted Underachiever.
Wes, shout out to Wes Taylor.
Yep.
Word, Gifted Underachiever. And that's not
it's a solid record,
right?
What is it?
Is Gifted Underachiever? Yeah.
It's an EP. Is it?
How many songs are on there again? Let me check how many songs are on there.
It's like 5 or 6. But yeah, so I kind of melded EPs and LPs together.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's 5 on there.
I was thinking projects, like what are.
That was a really good EP. I guess for me, I wasn't considering EPs. I was mostly considering like full length, like album cuts, like projects.
Gotcha.
And that's why I didn't really think of
my thing. What I was considering is projects as a whole. If I'm listening to the whole project, it's making my list.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, solid record. Local to Lynn. Yeah, I believe T-Bone produced it. So if you haven't checked it out, you should check it out. We've talked about it a lot in past episodes. So
number 3.
Yep.
So
what you got?
Continuing on the Griselda train, I got Benny the Butcher, Burden of Proof. As I said before, I think his album is the best Griselda album, like releases. Out of all the Griselda releases, his album was the best. And I got him edging out Conway at number 3 on my list.
Okay. All right. So my number 3, well, yeah, number 3 is Luke Barr's Good Evil.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. Still a record that I constantly listen to. Yeah, I obviously we interviewed Luke. We had a liking to him before we interviewed him, but yeah, he dropped a really dope record, and I like the whole album. And I think for me, it's hard for me to like a whole album, but he put out, in my mind, a perfect record.
I absolutely agree.
So
You want to go to number 2?
number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Conway the Machine, from King to a God.
Oh shit. And
Yeah.
so for moi, that's number 1 and number 2. I think was tough for me because I think both albums were spectacular. Um, I got to give number 2 to the OG, to the God MC, uh, Flipmo Squad, the conglomerate, fucking whatever you want to call them. Busta Rhymes Extension Level Event 2, I think is number 2. Number 1 is debatable, but I'm gonna slot him in at number 2 with the Extension Level Event. I think is an amazing album. I think we get many sides of Bust on this album. The best sides of them, I think we see is on full display on this album. A lot of songs on this record, a lot of really good songs. I think I counted 15 really good songs on this album, and that's a lot. I think there's 22 total. Um, it's great to see, and I felt that this way when Jay-Z released 444. It's great to see when an older rapper is still in the top level form. And I think I think this reveals to us that Bus has yet to release his best record, because I would say that this is, if you look back and listen to all the Bus album, all the Busta Rhymes album, and you listen to this album alongside of it, I would say that this album is the best release that Busta Rhymes has ever put out. And to have that at age 48 is amazing. And like, they used to say that hip hop, like once you hit a certain age,
there's
like
an age limit.
You're it's good as dead, essentially. Um, Obviously our God MCs like Jay-Z and Busta Rhymes and so many others are proving them wrong. Even Eminem, like his album was great, you know. So shout out to Busta Rhymes. I definitely think that he has one of the best albums overall in 2020, and I think for me he slots in at number 2.
Cool. I could see that. I knew that was going to show up on the list somewhere. Actually, so that's, I wasn't surprised there. All right, let's go to number 1.
So let me reveal mine first, and then you can reveal yours.
Okay.
Because I don't know what yours is gonna be. I'm excited to find out. Mine is has already been said, so I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
I gotta give it to my boy Luke Barr's Good Evil. That album for me has been on repeat all year long. It came out early 2020. This is when I know, and I'm really glad that I listened to it early 2020. And I knew back then when I listened to it that it was going to be one of my favorite albums, because anytime that I listened to an album after listening to Good Evil, I compared, and then I thought that it was possibly the best album of 2020 that I listened to. I would always compare it to Good Evil. And in every case, Good Evil won. And so for me, I'm pretty confident in saying Good Evil is my favorite album of 2020 overall. I don't care. I don't care if I might look biased because it's a local artist. I don't care. I literally, since it came out in I think February, have been comparing it to other albums that I've listened to, and it beats out everything else. And my Spotify, as I said before, would corroborate that. It has Die With Pride as my favorite song of 2020. It has Good Evil as my favorite album of 2020. And I 100% agree with the fucking AI at Spotify.
Yeah, I mean, it, like I said, it's a perfect album. So it needed to be on my list. So yeah, I honestly, I knew it was going to be your number 1 album. And it rightfully so. I feel like it deserves to be in that spot. So
You earned that, Luke Bars. You earned that shit, son.
hell yeah. Shout out to Luke Bars. All right. So mine is Run the Jewels RTJ4.
Wow. Holy
And,
shit.
continuing on my theme of, albums that have songs that like that's not an album I skip songs. I just listen to that album through. Um, Also, they released it when we needed it the most. I think the timing was perfect. Um, yeah, obviously 2020 has been a hell of a year, and yeah, I feel like they kind of it was sort of like therapy for a lot of people, and I feel like for us, like me and you, we hung out the day it was released, and, like obviously virtually, we hung out on Discord and listened to it, and yeah, needed that
Yeah,
shit.
that was a
So
surprise. I didn't see that one. I wouldn't have guessed that was your favorite album of 2020. I'll say that.
well, it is, and I advise to if you haven't checked it out to check it out. But Run the Jewels, RTJ4.
Damn. Well, there you have it, folks. It's been another great episode of the Grindhouse Podcast. This has been episode 53. Again, I am your host, Edwin Cabrera, K Steady Eddie. Thank you, Krita, my homie, Chris Martin, for having a wonderful fucking year. It's been a
Hell
great.
yeah,
I've
gonna
enjoyed
have
it.
many more, hopefully.
We will definitely continue to provide you more content, more interviews. We already have ideas for artists looking forward in the future for 2021. We have really cool ideas when it comes to content for our YouTube channel in
A
2021.
lot of
Look out.
new types of content on the channel.
While we're
Um,
away and we're taking a little bit of a winter vacation, just make sure that you're looking back at our episodes previously, that we've had a lot of really good interviews this past year. I'm really happy with the amount of interviews we've done and also the people that we got to interview. I really feel strongly that those people are going to grow bigger and be bigger going
yeah,
into 2021 and beyond. Like, I seriously see the world for a lot of the artists that we had on. So go back and check out the interviews you may have not caught before.
definitely.
And in the meantime, we'll obviously be working on developing more content for you guys. Share
Hmm.
our workout, get people to subscribe. We definitely are looking to build what we started this year and even the year prior. And yeah, just thank you guys for a wonderful year. Thank you for your support.
We definitely appreciate it. Yeah, and also buy merch. Grindhouse.store.
It's Christmas, so you need to gift your loved ones something. Might as well,
Yeah,
give them
might as well keep them warm
nice
in a Grindhouse hoodie.
sweater, hoodie. We got the mugs. Keep them nice and warm. Get them drinking cocoa. So drop into the Grindhouse stores and buy some Christmas presents.
Peace.
All right, y'all. Take care. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. We will see you next year.